Recorded Books and One Click Digital present Storm Over Leyte, The Philippine Invasion and the Destruction of the Japanese Navy by John Prados. Narrated by Richard Ferrone. Introduction. The Battle of Leyte Gulf figures among the most important events of the Pacific Campaign in World War II. As a turning point, it marked a key passage of the war. As a crushing blow to Japanese power, it brought an escalation of violence that led to some of the bloodiest confrontations of the war. Though Leyte Gulf is among the more studied clashes of the fight, it still offers space for fruitful exploration. In Islands of Destiny, my last Pacific excursion, the intention was to show that, among Pacific turning points, the South Pacific Campaign outshone the Battle of Midway as the more decisive development. Storm Over Leyte extends that story to the moment of the American return to the Philippine Islands and the carnage it triggered. This account begins with the extraordinary conference President Franklin Delano Roosevelt convened at Pearl Harbor in July 1944. Histories of the period have minimized or even ignored this event, a virtual summit of the Allied proconsuls in the Pacific, Douglas A. MacArthur and Chester W. Nimitz, conjoined with their top leader, FDR. Where histories cover this event, they often treat it as a photo op or political stunt from a man about to run for his fourth term as President of the United States. As you will see from the narrative, I believe the meeting at Pearl Harbor is far more important than that, both in the immediate sense and in its longer-term consequences. I will argue that President Roosevelt worked to resolve a real strategic problem and that the course he charted, taking the side of one of the summit's participants, set up the most momentous military headache of the Pacific War. The question of using the atomic bomb on Japan versus invading the Japanese home islands has been prominent in recent writing on the Pacific. Here I argue that the Pearl Harbor Conference and the Philippine campaign that started at Leyte Gulf led directly to that horrible dilemma. Storm Over Leyte continues the enterprise I began several books ago of reinterpreting the standard military history of World War II in the light of contributions made by intelligence on both sides. I believe that our knowledge of intelligence in the war, developed late and only gradually released by the keepers of the secrets, even though broad outlines of the story were revealed quite early, has reached the point where our conventional knowledge of these events can be seamlessly reworked into a comprehensive history that offers full scope to all contributing elements. I did that for the South Pacific in Islands of Destiny. This tome continues the endeavor. One thing from World War II that this book demonstrates and that merits celebration is the citizen soldier. The incredible exploits of U.S. naval, air, and ground forces before and during the Philippine invasion were the exploits of ordinary people. In this era of an entirely professional military, it is too easy to lose sight of the fact that private citizens proved fully capable of learning everything necessary, as well as exercising competent military judgment, in a modern, technologically advanced conflict. I believe that elements of techno-obscurantism and plain arrogance have crept into the mindsets of a disturbingly large slice of our serving professionals. The record of Leyte Gulf supplies a useful corrective. Brilliant military results were posted by armed services overwhelmingly comprised of civilian volunteers and draftees. In the 21st century, we may argue the desirability of national service, but events such as Leyte Gulf put beyond question that a citizen force can be as capable as a professional one. An endeavor that continues between these covers is my attempt to give full play to both sides, the Allied and the Japanese. It is true that histories have been improving on this count in recent years. It is also the case that Leyte Gulf, because of the destruction of the Imperial Navy that occurred there, has been covered in ways that lend more weight to the Japanese viewpoint. I never
Sample complete. Ready to continue?